Welcome back to my Pokemon corner. Today I'll be turning this into this. Now after completing my very first master set, the 151, which I'll be linking in the corner up above, we're going to start collecting even more cards, but this time only vintage ones. I decided to challenge myself to spending only $100 and seeing how many cards I could end up getting. With only $100, a goal of starting my vintage master set, I aim for getting as many cards as possible. Now as you can see from this huge pile, we got cards from 4 different sets and I think we did pretty well. Now let's take a look from the very first set released, base set. But before I get into it, I wanted to explain which one I went for. In the base set, there are essentially 4 main variants, the first one being the first edition with the first edition stamp on the side and the original copyright. Second being the unlimited Shadowless, which has no stamp and it has no shadow and the same copyright as the first edition. Then we have the third, which is unlimited, and these have a shadow on the side and a slightly different copyright without the 1999 year. Now on the fourth one, we have a very similar one to the third, but it has a copyright of 1999 to 2000 Wizards instead of 1999 Wizards. Now since the first editions cost quite a bit, I decided to go for the Shadowless cards. First up, we have a Growlithe, and as you can see, we have no shadow on the right side of the border and the same copyright as the first edition. Now, I never really had any Shadowless cards even when I was little, but I really like how the Shadowless cards look as they are much paler than the unlimited ones. Next up, we have a Machoke who is looking all strong and mighty and flexing his little biceps. Now, when you look really close at these cards, the different fonts and weights make me think that these cards are fake, but I know they aren't. But if I do have fake cards, please let me know, because these look pretty legit. Then we have our little Diglett. This is from my childhood memories. Then we have a Machop. So I never recalled how buff and full of muscles Machop was, because look at him, he's just like lifting this boulder up and looks pretty chunky. I think he looks a lot fitter in the newer ones. And then we have Ghastly, who has writing in the background, which I thought looked pretty realistic because I thought somebody wrote on top of this card. And then we have a Magnemite, followed up by a Nidoran. Now this is another card that I can never forget, and it's super cute chilling on the ground because it looks like a rabbit. Then we have Ponyta, who is just in a field and basically glowing because it has the red outline all over it. The Rattata, who has a more complex background over here, which looks pretty cool. Next we have a Sandshrew, and I love how the artwork on this Pokemon still looks almost identical to 25 years later. I mean, I guess that's with all of the Pokemons essentially. Then we have Starmie. So this is a pretty futuristic card in my opinion. Like, I can't really imagine that this is a 25-year-old card and artwork, but this is also probably the only near mint card I have. As you can see, there's basically barely any scuffs or whitening at all. Then we have a Staryu who is just chilling on the sand. And then next we have a Weedle. I ended up really liking this card just because of the art style. Like it looks faded, but not really. And it was only $1. Next up we have a bunch of trainer cards like the Energy Retrieval, the Pokédex. It's been a long time since I've seen one of these Pokédex before. And then we have a Revive. These look like super cute candies, honestly speaking. And then a Super Potion, which I have not seen in forever. I love how it looks. And next up we have Bill, who I did not recognize. I really did not know who this NPC was until I looked at the name and said, oh, that's Bill. And then this energy removal, which is not in the greatest condition. I think, if I recall, it was heavily played when I bought it, so there's a bit of scuffs and residue left on the card, as you can see in some lightings, and then on the back you can see a bunch of whitening like all over. So definitely way better quality, in way better condition than my cards, but I kind of wish I bought the near mint versions instead, but I also couldn't find them on that day. So then we have the switch. The switch is the same thing. There's a bit of scuffs, and over here there's a huge white mark on it, so not great at all. But I think it's super cute because it has the Kakuna and Magnemite in the Pokeballs. So that was basically all the cards we got, and I want to show a little comparison between the quality of my old cards versus the new ones. So let me just grab them out. I think I only got 3 of them, so it'll be a nice and quick little side-by-side view. So I'm just gonna grab them out from my little deck. Okay, so we have our Diglett, a Ponyta, and then also the Nidoran. So essentially, these are my very well played and well loved cards. Here's a Nidoran from base set 2, but I don't think I'll be collecting base set 2 since it's almost identical to base set, just with a couple of other additional cards. But let me pull this card out so you can see the condition. So it has a couple of creases, and then on the side some fading in the corner, and then there's like a bunch of black dots or spots on it. I think this is mold, but if anybody can let me know in the comments what it is, I will appreciate it. And then here's a side-by-side comparison to see the condition. Like, look at how pristine this Nidoran is. Like, there is essentially nothing wrong with it. And I'm kind of surprised at how cheap some of these common and uncommon cards are still after 25 years. Like, $1 is a pretty good deal. And I absolutely love the feeling of a new card. And now we have the, let's see, now we have the Ponyta. And okay, so I know it looks super beat up. I was basically super rough with them when I was a kid. I lost a bunch of them, but I'm glad we have the Ponyta as a memory. I tried taping it as a kid so the card wouldn't break off or tear off. So you can see that there's some tape over there, a bunch of creases over there. This card was basically hanging on to dear life. But I will never throw it away, and it'll remain a part of my memories until the end of time, because this card is literally priceless to me, even though nobody would want to buy it from me. And it only costs $1. And now here is the new one and old one. So here is how new the new one looks, and then the old one. Like, you can see the difference. And now the last card I have is of Diglett. So this Diglett is similar to the Nidoran. It's not as beat up, which is great, but it was definitely rubbed a lot. So you can see there's fading up in the borders or near the borders, and then on the artwork itself, a couple of creases on the middle of the card, and then a bunch of residue. I think this has water damage on it as well. And then there's a huge chunk missing because I used to tape up my Pokemon cards on my door, so I would have a Pokemon door. And yeah, so we have all these Pokemon cards, which are basically new versions of my old memories. Even if I wasn't gonna do a master set collection, I was gonna buy new versions of these cards as well. So let me put these cards back, and then I'm gonna continue going through the rest of the cards because we are not done with the $100 budget. I did get a bunch of other cards, definitely less than the base set though. The next set we have is Jungle, which is the second 1999 set released and fortunately has a total of only 64 cards to collect. There are two variants for the Jungle set, the first edition and unlimited ones, which can be differentiated by the first edition stamp and both having the Jungle stamp on the right side. Since this is a cheaper set, I'll be going for the first editions and challenging myself to completing it without getting any unlimited ones. First up we have Butterfree, which is the more expensive card I got in here. The Butterfree does look scary, but I like how it's hovering over the flowers. Next up we have Nidorina, who looks pretty cool in the desert canyon background. A lot of these backgrounds to me look fake and realistic at the same time. Next we have a Parasect that is basically glowing for some weird reason. Next we have a Primeape that is looking super mad and chasing someone or some other Pokemon. I love how it looks, especially with the pig snout over there. Ever since I discovered that, I just love it even more. Next up we have the Rapidash, who is getting a little headshot and looking super majestic, especially with the little horn in the little unicorn horn that it has. Next we have a Taurus, which is a very interesting looking card. And super different from the rest of the styles, I think. But for this card, I did get a heavily played or damaged version. You can see that it has some of the scuffs in the front, and then on the back you can really tell that it was probably a binder card, since we have whitening or wear and tear all over the edges. But I think it's still good for my binder card. Then we have a Weeping Bell. Let me get that in focus, which is super vibrant. The style of the grapes in the background, which I never noticed before, is pretty cool. And then this Bellsprout is also really nice. So I never noticed this, but I think those are dandelions blowing across, and there is a little rainbow. Next we have Goldeen. This is also a super vibrant card with it making a splash. Then we got Meow, who is chilling on top of gold coins. And it basically looks like he is like a glowing treasure. But I wonder if he ever replaces the gold coin on his head. Next we have Nidoran, followed up, who is just chilling in a forest. Then we have Paris, who is in an interesting background. I think it's just on by like a pond area where there's some rocks and leaves. Next we have Sparrow, who looks like it's ready to fight. I'm having a hard time getting in focus just because I sleeved them. I'll probably leave them unsleeved next time. Then we have Venonat, who is surrounded by these beautiful yellow flowers, and a Pokeball trainer card. This is the only trainer card I got for the Jungle series. And on these trainer cards, the location of the first edition stamp and the Jungle stamp is in different areas. And that was basically all we got for Jungle. Let's go through and grab the next set, which is going to be Fossil. So this is the third and last 1999 set to release, which also came out with two variants, the first edition and the unlimited ones. The main difference really being in the first edition stamp, and of course we are going for those ones. Let's start off with a Kingler. And then a fancy looking Arbok. Looks like it's in the middle of a fight. A very distressed looking Weezing. Like it looks pissed at the other guy over there. And then we have a scary looking Ekans trying to bite you or just scare you. A Horsey who is using Smokescreen. I love it when the Pokemons are using the attacks on the card. Then we have Kabuto who is just flowing along. I love the top of it, which looks like eyes, but then it's not, it's actual eyes. Then we have Krabby, who looks like it's looking for something in particular, but it's just chilling in the sand or on the beach. And then we have Ammonite, who I think is on a tour of the desert area. Then we have Shelter, who is just sticking its tongue out. Nothing fancy here. Then we have Tentacool, who is looking as evil as always. And then of course we have the last card, which is our Zubat. I really like this because it has, like, let me try to get this to focus. It has 3 other Zubats in the background. And that's all for the handful of fossil cards we got. Now the last set we got, since we're not collecting base set 2, is Team Rocket, which was released in 2000. There are also 2 variants, the first edition and unlimited ones, and if you haven't guessed it yet, we're collecting the first edition ones. The first card we got is a Dark Charmeleon. I love the dark Pokemons, and I'm a little sad that they won't have it for the new Team Rocket set that's supposed to release this year. So Team Rocket cards have the R and the first edition stamps. But this is a moderately played card and cost quite a bit. I decided to go with it ultimately because I really like the artwork. You can kind of see the condition. In the front it's really good, and then but the back you can see that the edges are very worn out. I also do think that a Team Rocket set is going to be a very hard set for me to collect. And next up we have a Drowsy. This Drowsy reminds me of the Caterpie, basically because of the pattern background it has. So I really love how these pattern backgrounds really complement the card. And then we have a Coughing, who is looking like it's having fun and floating or flying on top of a town, it looks like. Next we have Meowth, who is prancing around with gold coins basically falling in the background. I really love each and every Meowth card. I think they're the most cute and fun. And then we have our little Oddish. This one is super chill and it's blending in with the rest of the vegetable garden, but then there's also this really cute frog just chilling with Oddish on the side, which honestly I think is the highlight of the card. And that basically brings us to $100 without going over our budget. I honestly didn't know I could get this many cards. And so we got 5 Team Rocket ones, 11 cards in Fossil, and then we had around 15 cards for Jungle, and basically 21 cards for base set unlimited Shadowless. Now that's a total of 52 cards for $100, and we're that much closer to getting our vintage master set. Before I end off the video, I also want to show you how I'm tracking my cards, and this is not sponsored by any means. I really like this tracker compared to other ones, so you can see for each set how many cards you have collected and at what percentage you are until you complete it. All the prices are also synced from TCG Player, and it makes it really easy for me to get the approximate price of each card. Now, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along in my journey. Until next time, bye!